And welcome to Sports Insider here on cleveland.com. I'm your host, Chris Fedor. Any questions, any comments, go to the comments section at the bottom of the post. We've got a packed show. The PGA Tour has come to Northeast Ohio. It's in Akron, the Bridgestone Invitational at Firestone. No Tiger Woods, but Jordan Spieth is around, Jason Day, Ricky Fowler. So we'll talk to Bud Shaw, who is there in Akron covering that. Chris Haynes, our Cavs beat reporter, will talk about Richard Jefferson officially signing with the Cavs and what other moves could be coming for the Wine and Gold as this offseason continues. It's been a big offseason already for the Cavs. And Browns training camp continuing in Berea. Also, the Browns have a scrimmage tomorrow in Columbus. And joining us right now to talk about that and much, much more, our Browns beat reporter, Mary Kay Cabot. What's going on, Mary Kay?
Well, you know what? They're just about to wrap up practice, and what they're doing right now is they're doing a competition here at the end of practice, which they do almost at the end of every practice, to see who will get the coveted camo jersey. So I'm not exactly sure what they're doing for it today, but, yeah, Joe Thomas is going to try to kick a field goal. So they're having a little bit of fun here. Joe rested today, but he's going to try to kick a field goal. So I'll let you know how it turns out.
Mary Kay, do you get the sense that just the atmosphere and the vibe around training camp is one that Browns players are really excited about and they're really into? You've got the camo jerseys going on. You don't have as much of a circus atmosphere anymore. Do you get the sense that it's something that they've enjoyed here so far?
Yeah, I think so. People really eat this kind of stuff up. Yeah, there's a good vibe out here. People are excited, and there's a lot of injuries right now. Mm-hmm. So, fans are coming out and they're not getting to see right now Terrence West, Duke Johnson, Dwayne Bowe, Terrell Pryor. So there's a little bit of that going on, just a slight bit of disappointment that maybe not every single person they want to see practice. But for the most part, there's been a lot of good work out there.
Mary Kay, what can you tell us about Barkevious Mingo?
You know what? He's undergoing a scope today, and he will probably be out somewhere around a month. Mm-hmm. And it's really unfortunate because Barkevious, this is the third straight year that he's had a medical setback. I mean, he had that bruised lung as a rookie. He missed most of preseason, mm-hmm. And then last year he had the torn labrum, and it's just been a tough go for him because he really was looking like he was going to be able to have kind of a maybe even a little bit of a breakout season this year if he was healthy, and now this, and it's always a setback during camp, no matter what happens, it can be considered a setback.
Mary Kay, when somebody gets injured, obviously that means an opportunity for somebody else to step up. Duke Johnson hasn't been around at running back. Neither has Terrence West. It's given an opportunity to a guy like Sean Drone. So when it comes to this injury for Barkevious Mingo, who's the player that benefits the most here?
Well, right now, I would have to say that Sean Drone is benefiting the most out of the running backs because he's just getting a ton of reps, and he looks really good. I mean, Isaiah's out there doing his thing too, but Sean is the one that's really, really getting the chance to really shine, and he's taking advantage of it. He's doing a great job. So, he's somebody that, I think they're going to, if they have to whittle down the numbers, I think that he's somebody that they're going to be really disappointed if they can't keep him on the football team.
Mary Kay, if we talk about the scrimmage tomorrow in Columbus, what's the plan? What's it going to be like for fans that are interested in that?
Well, you know what? They're going to run through, it's going to be like, kind of what you would expect. I mean, they'll run through, it'll be a controlled scrimmage. And, once again, the unfortunate thing is that a lot of guys are not going to play. So, I think that's kind of unfortunate. Terrell Pryor, people are excited about him down in Columbus, going back to the shoe. And, he's not going to play. Dwayne Bowe's not going to play. So, but there'll still be plenty to watch. Johnny Manziel's coming around. Josh McCown looks good. There's a lot of guys that are, kind of stepping up. You know who had a nice day today was Shane Wynn. He and Johnny were connected on some touchdown passes today. So it's an opportunity for younger guys like that to kind of make their mark a little bit.
Talking Browns with our Browns beat reporter Mary Kay Cabot. Browns training camp continuing today in Berea. They've got the scrimmage in Columbus tomorrow. Mary Kay, you did mention Terrell Pryor. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to play in the Browns scrimmage. When it comes to this kind of thing, how much of a setback is it from his standpoint, and how much of a setback is it maybe from the Browns standpoint?
Well, it really is. It really is a setback, obviously, because, he needs to try. He needs to get every single rep that he can possibly get. I mean, it's difficult to make this transition from quarterback to wide receiver. And now, when you have a hamstring injury, you really have to take good care of that. You can't rush back. And who knows now, how long he's going, how long he's going to be out. So I do think it's significant. But I will say, I think he was making a pretty strong case for himself before the injury to make the roster. And he showed enough athleticism that I don't think you're going to want to let him get away. There was just too much potential there. And somehow, some way, I think they're going to have to try to find a spot for him on this football team.
What did it say to you the other day that they ran a gadget play during training camp, and it was for Terrell Pryor, somebody who is fighting to make the roster, not like a guy like Brian Hartline or Andrew Hawkins, Taylor Gabriel, one of those kinds of guys?
I thought it was very telling and significant. I thought they were trying to say, hey, you know what? These are some things that, that we can do with Terrell Pryor. I thought it was tossing him a little bone, but also I really think that they were also kind of saying, you know what? Yeah, this might be a little sneak preview of some of the things that you can do with a guy like this. So, yeah, I did think that there was more to it than just, some random trick play in camp.
Mary Kay, what's it going to take for a guy like Justin Gilbert, last year's first-round pick, one of the first-round picks that the Browns had, to continue to get noticed by the coaching staff? Because Tom Reed had an article the other day, cleveland.com, the Plain Dealer, about Pierre Desir and how he is getting the attention of a lot of the coaches. What is it that Justin Gilbert is not doing, maybe, that Pierre Desir is doing, that's getting Pierre Desir that notice?
Well, you know what? Actually, Pierre suffered a little bit of a hamstring injury today, and Justin Gilbert got most of the reps when it came to getting a third cornerback in there. Mm-hmm. So, so now I think he will have a chance to show what he can do. And there was just a play on the goal line where he stuck in. It was a red zone drill, and he kind of broke up a pass to Travis Benjamin off. I still think it was a catch, but the Rex didn't see it that way. Anyways, so, I think maybe now he might get a few of those opportunities. Pierre was in there, and he didn't do anything that, when he was in there to make you say, oh my God, he needs to be in there ahead of Justin Gilbert. So I think this is a chance. I think it was a message. I think they've been sending a message to Justin Gilbert saying, number 8 pick, that doesn't mean anything to us. What means everything to us is consistent effort and really, really hard work, and that's what's going to cut it on this football team.
Mary Kay, this year, are they going to try a guy like Justin Gilbert on special teams in terms of returning punts and returning kicks, or is that still too much for him like he said it would be last year?
No, I don't think it'd be too much, and I think they will probably give it more of a shot. You see it happening out here in practice, and I hope they do it in the game. I think he really needs to get some confidence under his belt. I really think that it would be good for him to have some success. So, whatever they can do to kind of get him rolling is what they should do, and they can use the help too, because Duke Johnson was going to be returning kickoffs, so now he's going to be out for a while, and you're not going to be able to put him back on that tour probably anytime soon.
All right, Mary Kay, good stuff. Appreciate you joining today from training camp.
Sounds good. Thanks.
There she is, Mary Kay Cabot. Check out all of her stuff and all of our Browns coverage, cleveland.com/Browns. Again, training camp continuing today, and they are going to have that scrimmage tomorrow in Columbus. We'll have to wait and see what head coach Mike Pettine says about the availability of some of these guys, because it seems like the big storyline right now in terms of Browns training camp is just the amount of injuries that continue to pile up. Pierre Desir now, you can add him to the list. Barkevious Mingo dealing with a knee injury. Dwayne Bowe, Terrell Pryor, Duke Johnson, Terrence West, guys that obviously the Browns were going to be counting on this season. They might not be able to play here at the start of preseason. They might not be able to play in the scrimmage tomorrow night in Columbus. So we'll just have to wait and see what head coach Mike Pettine says about that. Still to come, we'll talk some Bridgestone Invitational with Bud Shaw as the PGA Tour is in Akron this week. But right now, let's talk some Cavs. My buddy Chris Haynes from cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, he's joining me. What's going on, man?
Fedor, how you doing, my guy?
Hey, I'm doing great. So things got off to a fast start for the Cavs during the offseason, and now things have started to slow down a little bit, not just for the Cavs, but for the rest of the NBA. Nothing really happening right now.
Yeah, this is pretty much, the low period of free agency when you get most of the big guys, off the market. And then it's just, veteran minimum guys that still left out the market or possible overseas candidates. And this is when you can just take your time. You don't want to make any rushed adjustments on, any type of marginal players. But as we know, there's still a couple big fish out there, and I think that's what the league is waiting for.
J.R. Smith, what can you tell us about the latest when it comes to J.R.?
Well, look, it's obviously about favorite face. And J.R. Smith, it's very clear to see right now that he made a mistake by opting out. Mm-hmm. And, it's all about favorite face and what the Cavaliers organization can do for J.R. because it's all in his house. Now, look, J.R. has a tremendous skill set of a spacer, long-range bomber. His defense has improved tremendously over the last couple of years. But his character and the way he is as a person only fits in certain ball clubs. And Cleveland is probably the only ball club out there that's still recruiting him, that probably, can tame him. And that's why this is taking so long. That's why he doesn't have much leverage when you talk about other teams going out there and trying to make a really competitive offer. So right now, I think they really want the Cavs to try to get up to that $6.4 million that he opted out of, and just to save face. And Cavaliers probably can do that, but only do that on a one-year deal. I know JR right now, he's asked for 3. I'm pretty sure that those years have, dwindled down over the last couple of weeks. But that's just where we're at with him right now.
So, Chris, looking at this situation, you brought up some other teams that could have an interest. Do you get a sense of who those teams might be? Early on, we heard maybe Portland because they have some cap room, maybe a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, Philadelphia 76ers. Are any of those kinds of teams that J.R. Smith would actually consider over the Cavs?
Well, yes, he would consider over the Cavs. Look, he made it plain, and you wrote that story a couple of days ago. He just wants to play. But the thing about it is you have to be a two-way street. Portland does not want J.R. Smith on that roster. That's a young, personal roster. They don't need a guy like J.R. Smith, going over there and causing havoc. Same with the Lakers, man. They got a young roster. They still got Kobe Bryant on that team. You got Nick Young. Nick Young and J.R. Smith, that just doesn't make any sense at all. Right now, the ball is in the Cavaliers' court, and they're going to take their time and try to soak and get the best deal they possibly can. But I think if they really want J.R. Smith to be at his best, physically and mentally going into next year, I think they will help him save face and give him a reasonable contract.
So this is the time of year where so many fans are looking at a roster and they're counting all of the players and they're going through and they're like, okay, this guy's number 12, this guy's number 13, 14, 15. It seems like there are a couple of spots still available for the Cavs. Do you expect a guy like Sasha Khan to take one of those spots?
Yeah, they're still negotiating, and they're trying to get the guy over here. He will be losing a tremendous amount of money by coming over here, but what I've been told, that he really wants to take that next step and play in the league. So all signs point to that eventually getting done, because they Khan and his agent Andy Miller had to have known that this was going to happen, that they weren't going to be making the same type of money they were making overseas. So that will eventually occur. So yeah, I do expect Khan to be with the Cavs opening night.
What do you think the value is going to be from the Cavs standpoint, Chris, of the trade exceptions that they received from Portland for Brendan Haywood and Mike Miller? Because so many fans were looking at that Brendan Haywood contract and they were saying, wow, that's one of their biggest trade assets. It's one of their biggest trade chips to maybe improve this roster externally. So what kind of value can you tell people those trade exceptions are going to have?
Well, it's going to be very similar to how they got Miles Golf last year. Miles Golf and those guys last year. So it's going to be a wait-to-see approach. Look, if J.R. Smith, if he comes out and it's just not clicking. Because another thing, the Cavs want to be able to evaluate J.R. Smith for a full season, not just a half, not just come in January, be on your best behavior, and then try to cash in. So they want to get a more of a look on J.R. And then if he's not playing up the level or he's just doing something out of the realm of the team concept, then I think they'll look at guys like Jamal Crawford. That was a guy that they were looking at over the summer. And I know Jamal personally, and I know he would definitely like to be a part of the Cavaliers organization. So there'll be guys like that, and I haven't really, delved into next season and the salary and the money situation here for potential players. But Jamal is one guy on top of my head that I know would be a fit, and I know they'll be looking at him. So they want to use that exception for a wing player, and that's going to come. I think that's going to come regardless, even if JR is playing well. But definitely, it's going to be more of an emphasis here if JR is not his best behavior.
Chris, I was asked a question the other day as I was doing a bit of a piece for Bleacher Report. And I'll ask you the same question that I was asked. If you were to grade the Cavs offseason on what they've done so far, and obviously the anticipation is that Tristan Thompson's going to be back with the Cavs, so you can include that as well. But if you were to put a grade on what the Cavs have accomplished this offseason, what would you give it?
You have to give them an A. And the reason I say that, because they went into the summer with, limited assets. They weren't going to be able to do much outside of that Brendan Haywood contract. We pretty much knew that they were going to be able to resign all of their guys. For guys to walk away from a situation like this where they can compete for a championship 3-4 years down the road, people don't do that. Mm-hmm. Players don't do that. And so you knew that. But then to get Mo Williams, who I know personally, and, I put out before free agency started that he's very interested in coming to Cleveland. You get him to take a pay cut, which he did. Mm-hmm. You get Richard Jefferson, who I think is an upgrade over Sean Marion, and I think LeBron James will seriously have a legitimate backup small forward, probably for the first time in his career. You get guys like that to come aboard with the limited funds that you have to give them an A. Now, this is all assuming the Tristan Thompson deal gets done, J.R. Smith deal gets done. I think that's where we're headed. But you have to give them an A just for what they've accomplished, the limited assets they had, and the way they executed.
All right, my man. Welcome back, number one. Also, look, it won't be long before we're starting to play basketball again. That's going to come before we even know it.
Yeah, that's the NBA season, man. It's year-round. But, yeah, it's coming back. Fedor, it's good talking to you, my guy.
Good talking to you as well. There he is, Chris Haynes. Continue to check out all of our stuff on the Cavs, cleveland.com/Cavs. Again, it's been a little bit quiet recently for the Cavs and for other teams around the NBA. A number of the big moves have already happened, but interesting that Chris gives them an A. That's kind of what I would give them, too. And I was asked that question. I said, look, you have to look at what they wanted to accomplish this offseason. And the naysayers would say, well, how could you give them an A when the only thing that they added to this team was a guy like Mo Williams and Richard Jefferson? For a contending team, a team that wants to compete for a championship, if you look at their outside moves to improve the roster, not just bring guys back, is that enough for this team? And I think it goes back to what Chris said there, and I think he made a good point. They didn't have a lot to work with, so they had to shift their goals a little bit, and they had to focus on their own guys. Speaking of our own guy, Bud Shaw now joining us here on Sports Insider. What's going on, Bud?
Hey, guys. Just out here off the 16th fairway. Bubba Watson and Dustin Johnson are paired together, and as you might have guessed, attracted a very large gallery here because hacks like me, we love the long ball.
I was going to say, did you specifically pick number 16 because that's that long par 5 that you have to go over water?
Yeah, no, I have been following them since they teed off. They teed off on 10. And, there's a lot of talk about Tiger and Rory not being here. Well, you wouldn't know it by this crowd following these guys. I mean, these guys do some amazing things and hit it such a ridiculously long way that but I certainly did want to see them play this hole because this is one of the legendary holes in golf. And if you catch your drive the way they hit it, we've had drives of 400 yards on this hole during this tournament. Now, there's a little bit of a wind into these guys, so neither one was able to quite do that, but still pretty impressive.
So you just mentioned it. One of the big stories going into this tournament was the fact that Rory wasn't going to be there and Tiger was not going to be there, but you just said it. You don't sense that there's a letdown from the fans in Akron because they're not going to be able to see those two greats?
Well, I think it's a little early to tell. You know, they're obviously with it being the first round today. I think if we get into the weekend and we're looking at a couple of guys that are sort of lesser known, battling it out for the win, I think you'll kind of feel it then that you know, it's kind of lost a little bit of its glamour. Right now, though, I mean, I was adjacent to Fowler and Jason Day on one fairway and these two on the other, and you had trouble making your way through. I mean, there's enough good pairings in this, let alone one that comes off this afternoon with Jordan Spieth and Zach Johnson, who, you know, between them have the past three majors. So I think there's a lot to, you know, they don't feel it, I don't think, at this event because, you know, it's an invitational and all these guys are winners, and it's not like if they, you know, they lost those kinds of players at the John Deere Classic.
Now, talking about that it is an invitational, there were some comments made by Jordan Spieth the other day just about the fact that Tiger is not there and maybe they should look at changing some rules, and obviously there would be a lot of hoops to jump through in order to do that. You'd have to go through the PGA and all these other arms before you can change the format of what the Bridgestone Invitational has been. Do you think that's something that they should consider when you've got a guy like Tiger who's won the tournament 8 times not being there?
Yeah, certainly, you know, the sponsor exemptions at other tournaments would have allowed, you know, they had allowed for a long time guys like John Daly and people like that to come in that they know fans want to see play golf. I think it makes it a little more difficult because of the format of this and being a World Golf Championship event. It's not as easy as, you know, the Paget, John Paget saying, hey, you know what, I want Tiger here. So, right. Yeah, I would like to see them address it at some point, maybe give one exemption that would allow a guy who's, you know, obviously a fan favorite and a big-time winner who might not be having the kind of season that he'd hope to have to come in and play. Because at the end of the day, this is all about, you know, attracting golf fans and growing the game.
Yeah. How does this course set up compared to what they're going to see next week when they go to Whistling Straits? Well,
you know, it's probably totally two different venues, obviously. I mean, I've been following Dustin Johnson around. He's playing, you know, 430-yard, 440-yard par fours, and he's hitting irons off the tee. You know, not many guys can do that out here, and it's always rewarded the guys who can hit it a long way and not necessarily keep it in the fairway. I just think it's a terrific venue, and when you look at the list of past winners, you know, you don't see the guys come out of nowhere and win this thing certainly more than once.
All right, you have to answer this question because I've been to the Bridgestone numerous times. I've been to golf tournaments numerous times. Can you explain to me why fans in the gallery, Bud, they wear their golf shoes like they're actually going to get to tee it up?
Well, as someone who's out here right now in a pair of Echoes, I'll say that I do it because I like the idea of walking up and down the hills in the gallery with feeling that I have some kind of traction. How's that?
All right, that's fair. Who's
so
your
you're
pick
going to find
for
it's
this
really
week?
hard to believe, Chris, but I have not been mistaken for one of the players yet.
Not yet? Why not?
No,
what
not
do you
yet
think
today
that
anyway,
is?
but it's still early.
All right, you got a pick for this week, Bud? Bridgestone Invitational pick?
Well, I really like Dustin Johnson, to tell you the truth. I've seen him scrambling around here a little bit. He doesn't look like he's on top of his game, but I think it's a guy who is aching to get back into major contention again, because we've seen what has happened when he's been there. It's not been pretty. And I think this is a prep event for the PGA. I like his length off the tee is just almost unmatched out here, except for Bubba and maybe Jason Day. But I think he's playing really well right now.
How much of a chance do you give somebody like Jordan Spieth, somebody who's maybe not as familiar with the course as some of these other guys are?
Yeah, I don't think his record here has been very good, and you know, certainly he's come into his own over the last year or so, and that may be part of the explanation. But I just think it's a course that doesn't necessarily fit him all that great. Now, to watch him and Zach Johnson go around in the afternoon after watching these two guys, it's probably going to look like a different game than most people because of where they're hitting their approach shots from. But I still like. I mean, I wouldn't count either of those guys, Al Johnson or Spieth, just because they're such terrific players in so many different categories. But I like guys that can bomb it out here on this course.
All right, bud. Thanks so much for joining me. Enjoy the tournament. I know you will.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
And there he is, Bud Shaw. You can check out his spin every single day here on cleveland.com. Just a quick note before we get out of here. Mike Pettin saying that he feels bad for Barkevious Mingo dealing with yet another injury. If you remember last year, it was the shoulder. He also dealt with the lung. Now it's a knee injury. He didn't really confirm how long he's going to be out, but he said with Barkevious Mingo out, obviously it means a bigger opportunity for Nate Orchard, and he also mentioned a guy like Paul Kruger playing some Sam linebacker. So we'll continue to keep you updated on all the latest from the Browns, cleveland.com/Browns. Thanks to Mary Kay Cabot for joining me today, our Cavs beat reporter Chris Haynes, and of course Bud Shaw, and all of you for joining us today here on Sports Insider. We do it every single Thursday here on cleveland.com. We'll talk to you next week. Later.